anyway, let's jump in. The first thing I wanted to start with is a new document that we have created, and I sent it with what I sent out on Monday. So this is a new procedure for doing the transit list. The old transit list document, the steps on that will work. The difference between that and this, though, is predominantly when you're ready to cancel the transit, it cancels the transit and marks it missing at the same time. I've had the CERC committee test it. They say everybody came back saying that it worked. So we're pretty confident that it's going to be okay. But as you read through, if you have questions or need help with anything, feel free to reach out to me or someone on the CERC committee. They would be able to help you also. If you have questions, the main thing is this is going through buckets, going through to be able to do it all in one time. So if you have questions as you read through this document, make sure that you talk to somebody on the CERC committee and we can help you get, walk through it. Like I say, the old instructions will still work, but we are going to replace the old instructions on the website with the new instructions. So if you want to have a copy of those old instructions someplace, go today, print it off, put it in your files, because in just a couple of days, the old one will be gone and the new one will be inserted. Okay, questions on any of that? All right, not hearing anything. Okay, so if you were in the reports listserv, if you get things from the reports listserv, everything was kind of exploding yesterday. And I think it might have happened, Macy, did it happen on Friday?
Friday. I had used the reports on Wednesday, and another one of my staff members had used it also. And then we logged on and it was completely different, and I almost had a panic attack. So
Yes. So in case you don't know this, reports, all the legacy reports have been moved into the new Evergreen Reports module. So those reports are still there. They are searchable. You can still access them. Macy talked to Equinox and they gave her a URL that you can use. And so in the meeting minutes that I send out, I will include that URL. Or Macy, if you have it, if you want to share it in the chat,
yeah,
maybe.
I'll find it and I'll share it. You guys will just need to replace your URL with your library URL, but everything after that should be good. I know one library did message me saying that didn't work for them. If it doesn't work for you, I would reach out to Equinox and see if they can give you your specific one with everything there. But I'll find it and I'll attach it to the chat.
I think there's an important caveat, though. We should not be creating new reports in the legacy reporter,
No.
even if you can access it with the URL. We're told that they will not work in Angularized if you create new reports in legacy.
Right. That was my next comment coming, but there you go, from somebody who's on the reports committee. If you are creating a new report, do it in the new Evergreen Reports module. They really are encouraging us to move that way. The other reports will still work that are in there, because that was my first thing. Is like, oh my gosh, we worked so hard to get the purging patrons, deleting patrons thing working. And it's like, oh no, please tell me it's not gone, but it was there. So, Macy's going to put that into the chat. If you're doing a new report, use the new interface. They really want us to learn to do it that way. Okay, questions on that? Reports are not my favorite thing anyway, so then
Is there a good place, this is Carol at Cuba, is there a good place to go to see some basic instructions on how to use the new reporting tool?
Tony Miller did put together a short presentation for the reports committee, so I know that's available on YouTube, and I think there is a document. I think he did a PDF of some slides that might be helpful. Carol, I will write down your name and forward that to you.
I just shared the
Thank you.
link. What I kept running into was I was trying to use, I was like, okay, I'll suck it up and I'm going to try to teach myself right now. But some of those reports, it was an empty report, so I couldn't see any of the fields. So I was like, I need access to my legacy report so I can see which fields were required. Because I was grandfathered in, I haven't had to create a new report for anything. Everything has been reports that Diane had done previously, and I can just edit the dates. Which you can do with the new report system if you haven't used it. It just looks different. Everything just looks different. But if this doesn't work though, reach out to Equinox and they'll probably tell you. They told me we encourage you to use the new Angular reports. So I'm teaching myself. I'll get there.
I have a question this morning because I didn't change the URL anyway. I just went to reports and clicked in my templates and ran the report. I mean, it was a new format, but I didn't have to change the URL. Is that okay, or am I supposed
Sure.
to change something? Okay,
No, that's
I was
definitely
kinda
okay.
confused.
That's the preferred way to do it. But if you're hoping to see that it looks in the old format,
Oh, no.
that would be the point of doing this URL.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Because they told us that legacy would be around for a long time, and then all of a sudden, we got our hopes built on that, and that was my first question: how long is that legacy going to be there? Because if we're all just really using that, and they said, oh, at least a year, and blah blah blah. So, but they didn't realize all those bugs were going to be found. So I understand why they had to, stop that. So, all right, thank you.
And I mean, I'm speaking for Tony here, but he is usually really willing to work with you if you need help on a report. So I would say reach out to him. If he can't do it, he will point you to Equinox, but he will definitely work with you if you are having some kind of issue with it. So. Better him than me. Don't go down at me because I'm not the reports girl. Okay, moving on. Steve Potter emailed me this week and I actually got to see a list of the failures of our text messages broken down by library. And so we want to be able to send this report out monthly, similarly to what Rogan does with the long intransits and that big report that he sends out. It's not that nobody had that many, but the good thing with knowing this information now is that we can work with our patrons to make sure they're actually getting the text messages that we think we're sending them. So we've created a little document that will kind of show you what some of the things mean, because I got the document and it's like, well, what does, for example, carrier rejected as invalid destination address. What does that mean? Tell me what that means. So Steve Potter worked with, I don't know if it was with Equinox or with MessageBee, to give us a few what could this possibly mean so that you know what to look at when you go into your patron's account. We actually did have one of those messaging to country forbidden, and somebody had just entered a wrong area code. So it was trying to go to British Columbia. So it's not going to send it there. So this is just intended to be a little bit of a help to you to know where to, what could possibly be wrong with the message that's going out. I've included if people have opted out and didn't realize they were opting out or now want to get back in, I've included the phone number for you to text to. I don't know when Steve Potter is going to send that out. I said, let's wait till after I can get this published and given to you before we do, so that you wouldn't be like me going, well, what does that mean? So I would say probably reasonably soon, look for that. It's going to go to the entire circulation listserv. So I don't know. Oh, there's Steve Potter right there. Hey, Steve, when are you planning on sending out that message B?
I was waiting to get some input from this meeting and just hear what people thought. And if people were okay with it, then I was probably going to look to do this. I was going to try to schedule it to be a report that we would do at the end of the month. So, somewhere around, the 30th, 28th, 31st, something like that every month. And it's just a matter of pulling the information off of MessageMe and then sending it back out. So if I could, unless I'm hearing people say, absolutely not, we don't want this, we do not want our people to receive text messages, then I would start working on trying to schedule something at the end of this month. And then by the end of May, the new executive director would be taking that over.
Okay, so there you go. Look for it. I mean, we're really not that many days from the end of the month. So,
Right.
No, and this is awesome. I mean, if I understand it, I feel like 99% of you guys are gonna of our staff is what I mean, is gonna understand it. So that was so helpful.
yeah.
Loved it.
Okay, questions?
I have a question, Rhonda.
Sure, yeah.
I know that Steve has talked about the percentages and how like the amount that aren't getting received or whatever is super tiny. And my thought is super tiny divided by libraries and consortium is going to be really tiny. Is there a way that we could get that report more than once a month? Because I'm just concerned about like the time something stays on the hold shelf, transit times, etc. If we could get, 2 every 2 weeks instead of 4 every 4 weeks. I mean, I'm just making up numbers, but and maybe everyone else doesn't want that, right? But I just thought more often would be more helpful to be proactive in getting these things to our patrons, especially since there is such a small amount.
Steve, you would know how difficult that would be. Is it just something they could schedule?
Yeah, well, I mean, Rhonda, because you were graceful and gracious enough to say I didn't have to filter the report so that only each library got their people. If all the director has to do is go in and pull the report and send it, and then you all just take care of your own, it's
Right.
easy. I mean, theoretically, I could do it every week. Theoretically, I mean, it's just, is it too much? Is it not enough? Yeah, I mean, doing it every 2 weeks, 26 times a year, as opposed to 12 times a year, shouldn't be a problem. It's just a matter of doing it. And I didn't want to overwhelm. I mean, with everything else that's going on, one more report. And the worst thing we want to do with this is run this so often that it becomes a problem and you just file it away and then we don't deal with it. And that would be even worse. So, no, I mean, we can run it at the end of the month and then see what that looks like. And if people say, hey, I wouldn't mind having this again, I could run it around the 15th or so and see what happens there.
So feedback, what does everybody?
Maybe now, maybe in the beginning, we should run it more often. And then in 6 months go, well, the list is very small. Maybe once a month is enough.
Can I ask, is that going to be in Excel format?
What I got from Steve was like a Google, the Google version of Excel. So it's
Yeah, it
simple.
comes down as a spreadsheet. So, I mean, it comes from MessageBee as a spreadsheet, and I can either convert it into one form of a spreadsheet or another. But yeah, I mean, it basically comes down as a spreadsheet.
I think for us, we always ask our patrons to pick 2 ways to be notified because text don't always work. So once a month is totally fine for us because they're getting double notifications anyways.
I think, like what Steve said, I think it would be fine to just do it and see where we're at, like see if any of us are overwhelmed. Because for me, a spreadsheet, like I can take all that data and handle it in a minute and be done with it. But that's not everyone I know. Not everyone spends their spare time reading books about Excel. But I think just seeing where we're at, like how much, how often, et cetera, would be great. I just wanted to put that out there so that we could try to get this to our patrons.
No, I agree. And I think one thing for staff too, it's good. I know for us, almost every time it's an input error on our part. We spelled Gmail wrong or we spelled something wrong on it. Almost every single time that things bounce back to me, that's the problem. So it's going to be a great learning tool for our new people and just staff to pay attention to detail of entering the information. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's a very good point too, that we're likely to have a bunch in the beginning, and then as we fix some of those input errors, a lot fewer.
I'm trying to remember, I think Cass County, I don't know how long the report was, Steve, but I mean, Cass County had like 5.
Yeah.
And some of those 5 were the same person because they had more than one hold. So
For children with the same email on their parents, so 3 accounts, same email. So
well, text.
I mean, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I meant that.
So there were quite a few that I saw that had gone to spam. So that's more a case of us contacting them and say, did you, this is where your notices are going. Let's, but it didn't take me very long to get through the little Cass County section. So, what if we say we try to do every 2 weeks for like maybe 3 months? And then see if that gets us to where we feel like we could. The problem is, I don't know how long you all hold things on your hold shelf. Cass County holds things for 10 days. So everybody can select, but your item may already, if we go a whole month, your item is probably going to be sent back and you'll have to, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So does that sound reasonable? Do it two times a month for like 3 months and then see if we can drop down to just once a month?
I think that sounds good, but rather than planning to drop down, could we plan to reevaluate? Because it might even not need to be that often, or I don't know.
Okay, that sounds good.
I
I just have to remember to reevaluate.
have a question.
Sure.
For this report, it just shows the ones that are not getting to them, and then the owning library decides to text them or phone call them that because it wasn't coming in. Is that correct? Or does
Well, when I looked at my 5 things, often when I went in and looked at their account, I could see what the issue was. A phone number didn't get put in right, or the one that was from out of country, all the other phone numbers had a different area code and somebody had put in the wrong area code on that one item. So a lot of them you can just fix and have go Does that make sense? I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah, so
look at
for
it.
the next time, because we're the same way, we don't keep them for very long. And that was my thought too, is that once we fix it, if the message goes through, the patron is like, where's my item? So it is actually for preventing for next time and not the item in question, correct?
This is not going to retro to the item that already has come in.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be
Okay.
for, it's fixing it so that it won't happen again.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Any other questions about that? Okay, we are blowing through here. So, I put back on create duplicate holds one more time because I wanted to see if any library was having any issues after we made that change. No issues is good. That's what we really we're hoping for, but I just wanted to have some kind of feedback if there was any problem.
Rhonda,
So-
I know I emailed you about my issue that the homebound and the outreach. Did Equinox or you guys talk about that or?
We definitely did outreach, got put in because in the Evergreen or Equinox's hierarchy of who's in patrons and who's not in patrons, outreach was not under the patrons heading. And so we went back and added outreach, so that would be included. Our homebound accounts are working, so I'm wondering.
I haven't tested them. So since I emailed you, I haven't tested it. I was just seeing if there's an update on that. So
Yeah, anything that was under Equinox's patron category got lumped into this. So that would be like student and non-resident and resident and just that whole long list. And then we added outreach in.
okay. I
also.
appreciate that.
So if you find out something's not working, let me know and I will definitely work with Equinox to see what's going on with it. Okay. I want to come back to default hold notifications. I know last month I had you put in the chat, but because the way the chat came to me, it was impossible for me to say if you were saying yes to phone or yes to not have it as the default setting. Plus, what I think I really need to do is get a fairly good consensus of the whole consortium of what we think we should do on this. So I am going to ask you once again, and I'm so sorry, if you would put your library name and whether you want to have phone as a default notification method. You can always opt into phone. It doesn't change your ability to opt into it. But would you rather have it come up just as email as the default? So if you would put in your library and which way you want to go clearly to where I'm not like getting yeses and nos, that would help me so much. I would be really grateful for that. I didn't feel like I had a good, so probably depending on how many people turn in their thing today, I may be contacting some other libraries to get, I want to get a good representation across the whole consortium before we would consider really making any kind of change. And then while you're doing that, the very last thing I wanted to bring your attention was that courier labels have changed. It's a different version. I don't think much has actually changed in the version, but I don't do the courier, so I'm not exactly sure about that. So if you have not taken a look at this new version of courier labels and made sure that what you're sending things with is the correct list now, or the correct little, you know what I mean, the thing you put in that tells it where to go. Take a look at that and make sure you're using the right one. Yeah,
Rhonda, does the new version have a number? They usually have a number associated with them.
it's on that invitation, or well, I think it was on the agenda that I sent
Okay.
you.
I'll look at it.
But
It is on the agenda. It's 50A-4/3/25.
Thank you, guys.
I don't really think there's much difference, but I could be, like I say, I don't do it. That's not part of my job description, so I'm not 100% sure there. So,
Rhonda, is there a way to find out what did change?
I don't know. Like I said, this is not part of my job description, so I'm not really sure. I suspect you could email them or contact them. I think what my people did who were working on that is they just went in and you know, compared this to this, this to this, this to this, all the way down.
Right. So, okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't really know, because do any of you all, are you involved in?
They set up a listserv, but I'm not sure that they've used it. Because my courier person's on the listserv, but she said she hasn't received any emails. So usually I just go back there and I'm like, hey, just so you know.
At the first of the month, Jane will send out an email kind of giving us like what happened. I didn't see an email that said that there was a new library change, but sometimes that's how we know, is she'll send an email to us.
Okay, well, just everybody take a look. It may not be that you have to do much at all, or maybe you don't have to do anything at all, because it's not just Missouri Evergreen. So maybe something changed that wasn't Missouri Evergreen. So you might not have to do much, but it's worth a look so that we're using the most current label.
Yeah,
And
it
then-
just would be really helpful to have that information, as, you know, it's a piece of a lot of people's job. And so to know, do I need to look at every single one of these 100 items that I'm sending out, or can I just know which one to look for? That would be very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Also, there is a meeting Mala has every second Wednesday of the month.
Okay, thank you.
I have also found them, they're really quick. If you've got a question, you can call them, email them, and they're usually really good about clarifying stuff. But in my experience, every time they update these, there's usually one or maybe a couple of libraries that have had an address change. So if your staff has, like we keep our courier labels alphabetized in a box, we'll kind of check through to see which ones have been updated, and then we'll print new sheets of just those selected ones instead of, you know, hundreds and hundreds.
Yes.
So yeah, you can just, like in the chat, University City, they've confirmed that's a change. So I'll have my staff look at that, and we'll, you know, we download the new PDF of the new labels, but we won't have to print all of them. We'll just zero in on the ones that have made a change, and then print those new labels, get rid of the old ones.
I
Key
agree.
point there was the last thing you said, get rid of the old ones. What you don't want is one little outlier, you know, that's still in the mix. Pull them all out, throw them away. And, you know, just take a look. Like I say, I don't think there's that many changes, but it's worth a look.
Rhonda, I just now remembered this relatedly. and obviously if other libraries want to spend their time doing stuff, it's, you know, I'm not going to gatekeep, but my circ staff came to me and they showed me that we had received an item with like a laminated mala label. And like I say, you know, if they want to take the time to do that, that's fine. But it seems like since they are prone to change at any time, that seems like a bad idea. I don't know if it really matters.
I don't know. I would imagine it would go through just fine. And if you wanted to spend your time
Yeah,
doing
we've
that,
been
that'd be
getting
great.
those too, and I think they're really helpful because you can flip it over and they've got their library on the other side. So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
library that we transit with really often. It's in our hub. So it's actually makes me feel like I'm saving a little bit of paper to just be able to flip that over. And when I've got things headed back to them, it goes in my little filing system where I have all the rest of the labels. And
So it's a
like it.
laminated thing. On one side says send to your library and on the other side has their information.
Yes,
Right.
it's Webster. If Webster's here, but yes, I've seen those too. But it's Webster County, and I believe it's
That's me.
the
Yeah,
main one, not
I do it.
Roger.
Yeah, I do it. And I pay attention. If they're bad, I toss them, or you can toss them when you get them.
I like them. I think they're
Me
great.
too.
I think some
Yes.
people are saying it's a good idea. So is it a requirement? No. Is it a nice thing? Probably. So, okay. Anything else that needs to come before the committee today? We might actually get out of here before an hour today.
Is there an update on the K-Packs? When the K-Packs are rolling out?
I have not heard anything.
Okay.
Have anybody else? Steve, there
Yeah,
he is.
I haven't heard anything, but I figured that I might be the person who might be in the best position to say I haven't heard anything. The last time that we worked with Galen on K-PAC, we were still Greg and Rebecca were still looking over the graphics to kind of correlate them and make sure they all look like they matched, and working on the searches with Liz to make sure that the canned searches were working as anticipated. But we haven't had a follow-up meeting since before user conference.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Anything else? I know you guys are going to think of your question as soon as we sign off. All right. One more reminder, if you want to use that old procedure for doing the transit list, print it off, because within a day or two, it's going to not be on the website anymore and the new version will be up. So if you want that information from the old report or the old process, pull that off. Ron and I will be doing the back and forth to get it onto the website, but hopefully that'll be done, you know, within the week. We'll see. Anything else? All right, not hearing anything. We're going to have a short meeting today. Hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon and actually a great week. So have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.